Attachment is the root of suffering. Buddha. Life is unpredictable, and we often find ourselves trying to control everything around us. Our inherent desire for control stems from our fear and dread of the unknown. It is a survival instinct that helped us thrive and escape the dangers in ancient times. However, in today's complex and fast-paced world, it is hard to control everything. And the more we try to dictate every aspect of our lives, the more stressed and anxious we become, leading to a cycle of suffering and discontent. But what if the key to a more peaceful life lies in the paradoxical idea of letting go, rather than constantly striving for control? Buddhism, the enigmatic ancient philosophy, sheds light on this very human dilemma. Through teachings centered on balance and embracing life's ebb and flow, Buddhism encourages us to release our tight grip and start living in harmony with the natural rhythm of life. In this video, we'll explore the teachings of Buddhism and how it can help us manage our excessive desire for control, guiding us toward a more harmonious and fulfilling existence. Nowadays, we possess an unprecedented number of tools to manage every minute detail of our lives. We can track our sleep, automate our homes, and manage our social interactions with just a swipe. However, this heightened level of control often exacerbates the illusion that we can influence everything around us. The truth is that so many elements in our lives remain outside of our control. For example, think about the unpredictability of global events or economic downturns. You might have all your life plans neatly in place, but a sudden industry shift or a global pandemic can quickly disrupt those plans. And the more energy we invest in trying to grasp these uncontrollable circumstances, the more power they seem to wield over us, leading to a state of constant unease and frustration. And that's where Buddhism comes in. It teaches us that external circumstances are not something we can control. However, we still have the power to control our own response to these events, which begins with acceptance rather than resistance. One of the central teachings of Buddhism is the second noble truth. It tells us that our suffering is rooted in our attachment. This foundational concept provides clarity on the Buddhist view of suffering and its direct tie to our deep-seated need for control. Buddhism posits that our distress arises from our attachment to specific outcomes or things, and our relentless quest to dominate them. Reality is what is happening in the present moment, without our judgment or interpretation. When we accept reality, we accept things as they are, even if they are not what we want. Yet when we have expectations, we start to compare what's actually happening with what we want. This comparison can cause pain, especially when things don't turn out the way we hoped. Take emotions as an example. We all sometimes feel anxious or sad. Attempting to control or push away these feelings often makes them persist. And just like we can't control what happens in the world, we can't control every thought or feeling that arises in our minds. So, Buddhism argues that true control comes from accepting and understanding our emotions. Once we achieve that, we can think clearly and determine the best way to approach or even validate those emotions. Another example that many of us can relate to is the anticipation of a job promotion. You've put in the hours, showcased dedication, and perhaps even surpassed your targets. Naturally, you begin to expect that promotion, and each day it doesn't come, the weight of disappointment grows and frustration bubbles. Buddhism teaches us that by releasing our attachments to specific outcomes and accepting reality, we open ourselves up to greater happiness. This doesn't mean we shouldn't pursue our dreams or work diligently, but it emphasizes that life's outcomes often lie beyond our control. It's about giving our best and allowing life to unfold, ensuring our peace isn't dependent on specific results. Another essential Buddhist concept is anatta, which means no self. According to Buddhism, the concept of self is an illusion. We construct a sense of self based on our experiences, thoughts, and feelings. Yet this self-conception is not static or permanent. The Buddhist teaching of no self emphasizes that there isn't a fixed, unchanging identity. Instead, we consist of an ever-evolving stream of thoughts, feelings, and experiences. When we cling to the idea of a fixed and unchanging self, we suffer. This is because we are constantly trying to control and defend our self-image. This can lead to feelings of anxiety or stress when our image is threatened or challenged. For example, let's say you are very attached to the idea of being right. You always want to be the smartest person in the room and you hate to be wrong. One day you are having a discussion with a friend, but you both have different opinions on a particular topic. You start to get defensive and argumentative, focusing only on proving yourself right, and you stop listening to your friend's point of view. In the end, both of you end up feeling frustrated, and your friendship might suffer. Buddhism offers a different perspective. Instead of clinging to a fixed identity, it encourages us to view ourselves as ever-evolving entities. This doesn't mean we should deny our personal characteristics or traits. Rather, it suggests that we avoid becoming rigidly attached to them, allowing us to cultivate a deeper, more genuine engagement with the world around us. Also, according to Buddhism, not only our identity and sense of self are in a constant state of change and growth, but everything around us is also in flux. This is encapsulated in the Buddhist concept of impermanence. As the Buddhist saying goes, all conditioned things are impermanent. So, what exactly is meant by impermanence? At its core, it's the understanding that nothing lasts forever, and everything in the universe undergoes constant change. From the leaves changing colors to the shifting tides, change is evident everywhere we look. In our personal lives, we witness it too. Children we once held as infants grow, and relationships evolve or end. Even the hobbies and interests we once had might shift as we experience new things. Now, while it's natural to feel the urge to control or resist change, Buddhism teaches that such efforts are futile and only lead to suffering. Instead, we're encouraged to embrace the beauty of impermanence. Recognizing the transient nature of all things allows us to appreciate our life more deeply. Rather than trying to cling to specific moments or possessions, we should cherish them in their presence and gracefully release them when the time comes, aligning ourselves with the natural rhythms of life. This harmonious way of being aligns well with another central Buddhist teaching, which emphasizes the consequence of our actions and thoughts, the concept of karma. As the Buddhist saying goes, what we are today comes from our thoughts of yesterday, and our present thoughts build our life of tomorrow. Our life is the creation of our mind. At its core, karma is a concept rooted in many Eastern religions. The word karma comes from the Sanskrit word for action. It essentially means that every action has consequences. These consequences can be immediate or manifest much later. However, at a basic level, karma emphasizes the connection of all things. What we do, good or bad, will eventually come back to us in some form or another. Now, when we act with the intent of controlling outcomes, we might manipulate situations, force events, or even harm others, either directly or indirectly. Such actions, driven by a desire for control, can generate negative karma. This karma, in turn, may lead to unintended consequences, emphasizing that we never truly had control to begin with. On the flip side, acting genuinely and without being overly attached to outcomes can naturally foster positive karma. This comes from letting go of the need for control, acting with sincerity and good intentions, trusting the process, and focusing on our actions instead of obsessing over potential results. This doesn't mean we become passive. Instead, we act with purpose, but without rigid attachment to specific outcomes. Such a balanced approach aligns with what the Buddha called the middle way. As the Buddhist saying goes, the middle way is a path of moderation between the extremes of sensual indulgence and self-mortification. The middle way was shaped by Buddha's own experiences. Initially, he led a life of luxury as a prince, indulging in many pleasures. Later, he renounced this lifestyle in pursuit of truth and subjected himself to severe ascetic practices, almost to the brink of death. Realizing that neither extreme was conducive to enlightenment, he chose a balanced path. The middle way advises that we shouldn't go to extremes, like either enjoying too many pleasures or being too strict with ourselves. Our desire for control can be seen as an extreme. On one end, there's the urge to control everything, leading to stress, anxiety, and inevitable disappointment. On the other, there's complete apathy, where one might become a mere observer in life, feeling powerless and adrift. The middle way suggests a balanced approach, where we exert effort and influence where possible, but also accept and let go when things are beyond our control. It is like steering a boat on a river. Paddle too hard against the current, and you'll get tired fast with little progress. Don't paddle at all, and you'll drift aimlessly. The key is to paddle mindfully, balancing effort with the river's flow. By steering clear of the extremes, like trying to control everything or giving into apathy, we can make wiser decisions, experience less suffering, and navigate life's challenges with a calm, serene mind.